Michael Strahan has become a big-time television presence since his football playing days. He's the co-host of Fox NFL Sunday and hosts a morning program as well with Kelly Ripa. When Fox Sports held its media day in New York this week, shortly before the cold weather Super Bowl in New Jersey, I grabbed the big guy for an interview. Michael Strahan, welcome.
Thank you.
When you were with the Giants, you played in 2 Super Bowls. What did you make of this media zoo?
You know, to me it was never a zoo because you're playing in New York City, so it's the media capital of the world. It was a normal day.
Media capital of the world, all the tabloid guys?
Yeah, well, that's New York City. That's part of football and entertainment all are in one now. So the tabloids are just like Sports Illustrated at some point. They all fold in and mold in to be the same thing.
But this is what they were trying to do. You stick the microphone. Michael, over here, stand. Weren't they trying to get you to make some news, which means say something possibly
Of course. They want a sound bite, and I think it all depends on how the player you handle it. If you understand that going in, you won't be goaded into making a comment that's going to come back to bite you.
You never did that?
No. I had fun with it. I was singing. I controlled the interview. That's something you can do, which a lot of players don't.
Even when you started as a player, you didn't have that much
as a
media
player,
experience?
I would answer questions and get myself in trouble. But then I realized years later that, you know, you are asking me questions. You can only get out of it what I give you.
That's true.
And as a player, too, you control the interviews. I control the answers. I control the tempo. I control the energy. I control if it's a funny interview or a serious interview. The player has more control than I think guys understand they do.
Okay, could you be funny in this interview? Because
Of course.
we need the ratings.
Of course, let's go.
So now that you're in the commentating game, when the players are on the field, I mean, a lot of these are guys you played with, you played against. Do you pull your punches a little bit because you know what it's like to be down there in the dirt and blow a play?
No. I say what I feel because I don't like any of them anyway. See, there you go. I already got you laughing. See, it works.
There's the bite.
But you know, no, you don't pull your punches. There's a difference in how you say things. If you're being honest, and if a guy's being honest with himself, he'll respect your opinion and still have a relationship with you on a good level. If you're being malicious, or if you're saying something just because I don't like this team or I don't like this player personally, that's the wrong way to approach this business. We don't always like someone personally, but you have to respect what the guy does on the football field, and that's what our job is. And it's all in the way you say things and all in the way you present it. And if you do it the right way, I don't think any player has ever had a problem with when it's presented the right way.
So on this question of handling the media, why is it that in so many interviews you see the athletes say, well, just taking it one day at a time. We just beat a very good football team. I'm just trying to keep my focus out there. In other words, It's almost like they're trying to be boring.
Guys are trying to be boring because no one wants to have the coach say, come into my office, son. Why would you say this? Why would you do that? You don't want to be the soundbite guy. You're almost scared into not being yourself. And that's the hard part about dealing with the media, is to be yourself and not be afraid of that, but also being smart enough to know how to craft your answers and not get yourself in trouble, but to be able to show personality within your answers. And those are the typical answers that guys have learned. I mean, it's
drilled into you in NFL pregame school?
We've all watched TV. We've all watched these interviews, and you go, okay, I saw that guy get in trouble. I'm going to use what he said.
Okay.
And that's really the safe way to do it.
Well, one guy who didn't do that, of course, was
Exactly.
Seattle's Richard Sherman, who was very emotional and delivered that rant after his team won the NFC championship. And a lot of people hated it, and some people loved it. What did you make of it? It was so different than anything I'd seen after a game.
I had no problem with it.
No problem.
And I think it blows my mind, and a lot of people had an issue with it because they grab a guy right after making a big play that sends a team to the Super Bowl, and people are so fired up because he was still pumped up, and everyone loved to ask the football player, what goes on out there on the field and what's happening out there? What kind of smack talk do you do? Well, there you see it. So don't be afraid of it when you see it, and don't characterize a guy as a thug because he's emotional. And that's how it is. You have to be a little crazy. You have to be a little arrogant. You have to be able to talk smack in order to survive. And for people to finally see that, it scared them, and I don't know why there was such an adverse reaction to it.
I've got my New York Post headline, Strahan, football players are crazy. But
yeah, of course we are.
As you know, the reaction to Richard Sherman online, there was a lot of racist junk, a lot of really nasty stuff. You've had some controversy in your career. Have you ever, as an African-American player, gotten any of that kind of abuse?
Heck, I still get it now. You kidding me? Yeah, of course. I don't think that ever goes away because I think, you know, there are a lot of ignorant people out there. The best way to put it. A lot of ignorant people who look at people for their race instead of them as a person. And that's one thing that I learned growing up on a military base, is that you need everybody. You're on a military base with different races, religions, national, everything, you name it. You have to learn to get along with each other, because you need each other to survive, and you learn to look past color, you look past the person. Right. And that's where a lot of people haven't learned that. And it's sad in this day and age, but is it something that will ever end? I hope. But it was just sad to see it in the context of this Richard Sherman incident.
But when it's been directed at you, you say even now, as a public figure, you get it. Is it depressing? Have you built a thick skin against it?
You can't let the opinion of someone who doesn't know you affect you.
That's right. You're just somebody they see on TV.
Yeah, you can't let the opinion of someone who doesn't know you really affect your attitude, how you go about your day. The fact that they acknowledge you and know you probably says a lot in itself right there. And I look at a lot of things like that as frustration on the part of that person. And if someone has a problem with you, that's their problem, not your problem.
When you were playing, you might have thought about a broadcast career in the future, but did you ever think you'd be the new Regis?
No. Oh, yeah, I did throw that out there the first time I went on as a guest, but I never thought it would happen.
The first time you went on with Kelly Ripa?
Yeah, first time I went on with Kelly and Regis. Regis was still there, a few years ago. But I never thought that I would get the job and take over and be known as the new Regis. I'm a little taller, a little darker. But
a little younger.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Right. But was it a big adjustment to do that kind of daily morning show? Lots of topics, not having to do with X's and O's.
No, you know what? It's very similar to being on Fox NFL Sunday. It's more similar than people would be led on to believe. And I love them both the same. And I have such an interest level in football, obviously, but also in what's going on every day. And the only real adjustment for me has been my flying schedule and my sleeping schedule. And my vacationing schedule, because I don't have a lot of time now.
Right, and you're constantly on airplanes.
Yeah, I fly back and forth during the football season every week.
So no matter what you're talking about with Kelly Ripa, whether it's the furthest thing in the world from sports, it's still, you said entertainment and sports are intertwined.
Same thing.
It's more entertainment.
But I think it was a bigger surprise for everybody else that, okay, there's this football player who can get on here and talk about other things outside of football. And athletes, and not just football players, but athletes in general, or people in general, are diverse. This is not the only thing you can do.
No.
And football was not the only thing I can do. And I hope that people realize that just because you've done one thing and you've done it what people may consider well, it doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do. And we need to stop pigeonholing people into thinking that's the only thing I ever want to see them do. They're good at it, leave it at that. We can do other things. And I never get it mixed up where I look at Kelly and go, hey, Terry Bradshaw. That's never happening. So I differentiate.
All of this 2-week build-up, and the Super Bowl has become such a cultural event in American life. All of the journalists, the media, isn't it really designed to sort of juice the ratings and build up interest in the big game even further? Of
course.
It's almost like the game is overshadowed in a way, the commercials.
Yeah, I mean, they build it up. And the great thing about football is this. There aren't 82 games. There's not 140-something games. There are 16 regular season games. Every week is important. We build up every week like it's the last time you ever see your team play. And now this is the last time for the season for these two fans of these two teams to have an opportunity to watch their team play in the biggest game. So it deserves the build-up. And of course it's for ratings. Of course it's sometimes you look and go, okay, enough is enough. But at the same time, I think it's a great opportunity for us to learn more about players, learn more about teams, about coaches. And it gets me excited for the game.
Well, you've got me excited. And Michael Strahan, thanks very much for sitting down with us.
Definitely am. Thank you, man.